Hey everyone, Kevin here. I recently posted a poll on LinkedIn asking how many interviews are too many, and most said anything more than three, which I agree with. Unfortunately, we are seeing that number grow higher and higher nonetheless post pandemic, and it has led to the important topic that I wanted to talk about today: interview fatigue. And believe me, we have all been there too, where we had an interview process take far too long or just have way more rounds than it should. But we don't often discuss the reasons why companies can take a while to make a decision, and people need to understand these reasons. Namely, hiring someone is actually really expensive. So let's look at why that is. Number one, they have to advertise the new position, which is actually a really pricey process. Number two, costs of the actual recruitment efforts themselves stack up. Number three, they need to pay hiring managers and HR executives to conduct interviews outside of their normal workloads, which adds more time and effort for them. Number four, onboarding costs for new employees are really high. As an ID who makes that onboarding, that process alone is really expensive too, so it really does add up. Number five, benefits and insurance offerings cost companies quite a bit. And we all know how much our premiums cost these days. Number six, potential lost revenue from dealing with a new employee's learning curve. And number seven, the risk of losing people along the way due to recruitment attrition when someone doesn't work out during the initial onboarding process. As you can see here, recruitment is a serious investment in time and money. This is why so many are taking longer and longer to hire and increasing the number of interviews at the same time. Now, in theory, this makes a lot of sense, and we have to realize that companies need to make sure that they get the best person they can, particularly when more and more workers than ever are demanding to work remotely. However, this approach poses quite a few risks and is where today's topic really comes in. So let's talk about that. While interview numbers per position are going up, candidates are looking for a streamlined hiring process at the same time. As a result, there is this inherent disconnect between what companies and interviewees want in terms of timelines. Applicants don't have the time or resources to wait for weeks on end while companies decide what they want to do and who they want to hire. Importantly, so many job seekers are unemployed during this process too, and possibly only a month away from financial disaster, not paying their rent or being able to feed their families. We can't just dance around singing kumbaya and toasting s'mores while we wait for a job. For all of my transitioning teachers out there, this isn't the environment you were used to where you had a one and done interview like you had in education. When leaving the classroom, you are already filled with so much uncertainty that a lengthy interview process will only make you more anxious and frustrated that you aren't moving forward. Plus, as I said, you are probably sitting on a knife's edge away from not being able to pay your bills because teaching already pays so little as it is. This is why companies take significant risks by putting candidates through too many interview cycles or making them jump through too many hoops, like doing multiple projects and panel interviews where it is clear that a company isn't even entirely sure what they want in the first place from an employee. Essentially, hiring processes take too long negatively affect both the applicant and the company. Positions stay unfilled when companies can't make up their minds, job seekers face weeks or even months of uncertainty about their status, and subsequently, they lose all confidence in their chances. So, what do? Well, candidates get fed up, frustrated, and disappointed with the hiring process to such a degree that they lose interest and look elsewhere. I know so many people who really wanted a job but got tired of waiting to see if they moved on with a company due to the long wait time and ended up interviewing with another company and accepting a position with that other company. This all leads and contributes to the interview fatigue as the overarching theme in this episode. Long interview processes make you feel like you are just treading water at a certain point. A company that drags its feet and doesn't respect the time of its applicants will not only lose a potentially excellent employee, but it speaks badly of them as a company, actually. That bad interview process will get around, too, and cost them further applicants down the road. Even worse, you can discover that a company has put you through multiple successive interviews and end up either closing the position or hiring internally, which seems to happen a lot these days. I see that on LinkedIn all the time. And it is immensely frustrating, especially when some companies are literally forcing applicants to be interviewed via AI instead of an actual person. It is kind of insulting when you really think about it. So, this all begs the question, how many interviews is actually appropriate? Well, studies conducted by the Veritas Insights Group show that 63% of job seekers feel 2 interviews are enough. However, 67% of companies require at least 2 interviews before even thinking about making a final decision. Regardless of the variable, though, 2 to 4 is what you should expect for any given position. Any more than that, and you will get fatigued, even if the interviews are really close together. And I recommend that you bail on that company if that's the case. After 4 interviews, if someone hasn't made up their mind, then you don't want to work for them because of that indecisiveness. Plus, more than 4 interviews actually makes it harder to choose someone, thus perpetuating this problem. For an example of this, Google was actually infamous for it at a certain point where they mandated, if you can believe it or not, 12 interview cycles. But that has decreased significantly down to 4, which is still quite a lot if we're being honest. The only time you should have more than that is possibly for something like a CEO position at some massive global company. Then that would kind of make sense. For instructional designers, 3 is the norm, but any more than that is honestly kind of ridiculous, particularly when a project is often part of that process and you are already sharing your portfolio with them. But when it comes down to it, the number of interviews should not exceed 3 or 4 because after that, amazing and qualified candidates begin to give up and don't see the process through due to fatigue and frustration. If you are in this position, don't let companies string you on for months on end. Just voluntarily drop out of the process. Find someone that respects your time. Interviews are important and stressful affairs already, but the process of interviewing itself should not wear you out or down to the bone. You deserve better, so don't take that. And as always, I am here to help you navigate this process and uplift you in whatever way you need. See you next time.